Great news for all Spurs and England fans. Alan Mullery, we saw him carried away at Upton Park yesterday with what was feared was a fractured ankle, and World of Sport yesterday was the first to tell you that there was no fracture. Today, we can say that Alan believes he'll be ready to play again for Spurs next Saturday. I spoke to him just before the programme. He said, "I can still feel pins and needles in my foot, but I'm walking around now, and I must be the happiest fellow in the land." We are delighted. We're also delighted to bring you today the magic of Georgie Best, scoring one of his greatest goals, surely. Our big match guests today are Bill Nicholson, manager of Spurs, Bobby Moore, and in the studio, Ron Greenwood, manager of West Ham. We look at your letters, controversy at Chelsea, and a goal to thrill all supporters of Charlton Athletic. Action from 3 of yesterday's First Division matches, the derby game, West Ham against Spurs. Is there a challenge here for the North?
Going in, and now Peters with a shot!
Leeds against Manchester United. Are United on the way back?
Just outside the box, inside the box, a shot, and a good one.
And this incident from Manchester City against Chelsea.
Hutchinson coming in, and there's the first goal from Osgood. No, the whistle is gone, not allowed.
A disallowed goal. We look at it in slow motion and ask, where Chelsea robbed? But first let's go back to Upton Park yesterday afternoon at 5 minutes to 3. West Ham against Tottenham, two of London's most artistic sides, both of them now striving to get to grips with the aggressive demands of the modern game. And for this important derby match, West Ham have found a place at number 4 for the hard-working qualities of Bobby Howe. Martin Peters goes to number 8, but keeping his place in the number 7 shirt is an 18-year-old Bermudan, Clyde Best, a young man with exciting potential. Meanwhile, Spurs, they've made a shock choice. They've dropped £125,000 worth of Martin Chivers, and they too have found a place for a youngster, John Pratt, the number 10, who will work until he drops. And then there's Jimmy Pearce at number 7, an exciting youngster quickly establishing a permanent place in the Spurs side. The gates were closed some 20 minutes before the start. West Ham's fine new stand is packed, and now we wait for referee David Smith to start the action.
So Alan Gilzean then kicks off for Spurs, defending the goal to our left against West Ham. A classic match here at Upton Park last season in pouring rain, which finished 2-2. Mullery now for Tottenham. And allowed to go surprisingly far, Mullery. Yes, no wonder he may smile by a West Ham defence and getting in a shot, but wide. Bobby Ferguson. Yes, his concentration must not break for one moment against Hurst. Cyril Knowles. Greaves making a dart down the left. Morgan available inside. Here's Morgan. Oh, through Peters' legs. That doesn't happen often. Alan Mullery trying his shot. Bobby Moore. Lampard. Best again, flicking that off beautifully to Brooking. And again, Collins in the nick of time. That was a good bit of service for Brooking from young Clyde Best. Here comes the corner from Sissons. Peters going in. And Pat Jennings, who has a very important date in Belfast on Wednesday night for a World Cup match for Ireland against Russia, with the goal kick now for Spurs. Now Mullery to make another of those bursts. Pearce. Mullery again. Gilzean waiting. Straight to Greaves! Well, Jimmy Greaves certainly has scored more difficult goals than that one. But West Ham really stretched to the full. Stevenson to Sissons. Chased by Beale. Getting it across there. Best going in. And now Peters with a shot. Beautiful save. Magnificent save by Jennings. From number 8, Martin Peters. Superb volley. And the sort of goalkeeping form, of course, that all Irishmen are hoping that this man can produce in that World Cup match on Wednesday night. But a corner to West Ham, Sissons to take it. Bonds going in powerfully, but unfairly getting a bit of extra height by climbing on Morgan. Billy Bonds, one of these adventurous fullbacks, always likes to come forward. But that really was a magnificent save by Pat Jennings, a man who played in every game for Tottenham last season. Yes, the free kick, not unexpectedly given against West Ham. Beale to take it. Gilzean making a run for this one. Stevenson there. Peters away. For Brooking. Sissons laying it on beautifully now for Brooking. Two men racing off ahead of him, but Brooking still going. Almost into the path of Hurst, but not quite. What a great run of some 50 yards by Trevor Brooking. Half an hour gone, still no score, and the game really hasn't developed any sort of rhythm, and certainly none of the classic football yet that we saw last season. But now Pearce to find Gilzean. Bobby Howe. Hurst. Roger Morgan for Spurs. Pearce and Beale has gone streaking in, but now it's Mallory for Tottenham. Playing it wide for Knowles. Plenty of white shirts up in that penalty area now. A corner, which Cyril Knowles won with a willingness to run up that touchline for the overlap. England and Collins have gone up into the West Ham penalty area for this. There's England 5. Collins is a little to his left. Here's the corner. Going towards England, getting his head in. Peters away. England steaming back to defence. Hurst taking it up for West Ham. Howe. Good pass there and a good run by Howe. Claiming that one for Brooking. Best not quite able to get to it. And Beale very happy indeed, I would have thought, to give away the corner. Best, I thought, just a little slow possibly to react to that one. But a very good header on by Trevor Brooking. Sissons now with the corner. Peters getting up though. England away. And as Peters got up, obviously he was pressing down on a Spurs defender's shoulders. And in fact, they're bringing on their substitute, West Ham. Ronnie Boyce is on, and Clyde Best, which is rather a little difficult to understand, that Best should have gone off when he's playing so well, but there must be a very good reason for it. And Ronnie Boyce is on. And now here is Greaves with a little bit of space, flicking it on for Gilzean, too slow. Good covering by Bonds for West Ham. Oh, very clever play by Moore, and now it's Sissons. He's only really got Hurst up with him. Hurst darting to make a yard for himself against Mike England. Getting it back very well. Great play there by Hurst. Geoff Hurst, who bowled himself into a photographer, knocking him over. I think may well have given himself a knock there, but really magnificent play to turn that back. And in fact, he's asking the referee to make sure that the photographers do stand back a little. That really was a wonderful skill by Hurst, though, under such tremendous pressure from England, still to be able to turn that ball back. Peters, Du Bois, and now Bonds. I'm wondering how well satisfied manager Ron Greenwood of West Ham on the right there is with the West Ham performance so far. Bobby Moore to Sissons. Hurst going with this one, and England getting their first again. And that really was a dangerous situation for Spurs, because both Hurst and Peters were lurking at that far post. If England had faltered, that almost certainly would have been that. But now at the other end, the flick from Gilzean, and the whistle had gone. Well, I wonder what Bill Nicholson feels. Also, the manager of Spurs on the left there, probably a little more pleased than he was with the determined efforts of Spurs than he saw at Molineux on Wednesday night. Gilzean and Greaves offside again. And there goes the whistle for half-time, in fact. The first half that took a long time to find any sort of rhythm to it at all. So we come to half-time with no goals in this London derby game here at Upton Park. So the half-time score, West Ham United 0, Spurs 0. We should be back with more soccer action in just a couple of moments. So no goals so far. West Ham kick off the second half, now defending the goal to our left. Bobby Moore to Billy Bonds. Peters, Boyce, to Howe, a little bit of space for him. And Peters going in. Reeves, Stevenson cutting it out. Got it. Boyce back to Moore. Moore again. And Lampard. And Jimmy Pearce. And now infield to Bobby Moore. Boyce. Oh, and Hurst allowed to come onto that one. Howe steaming up on the blind side of Morgan, but good control by Roger Morgan for Spurs. Finding Pearce, a flick to Greaves. And the whistle has gone, in fact. And certainly show business is well represented here at Upton Park this afternoon. On the left, Kenny Lynch, and on the right, Jimmy Tarbuck. They don't look terribly happy with what's going on, it's true. But now it's Bobby Moore. To Billy Bonds. They've got a gun for Bonds. And full stretch there by Jennings. But certainly Bonds was allowed to go right to the edge of that penalty area, unchallenged, to get in that shot. Well, perhaps that's the tempo for the second half. Peters now. Hurst trying to make a yard or two on England. England with him. Bonds, another clever piece of running by him. Brooking going in. Sissons missing his kick. England away. Boyce. West Ham keeping up this pressure. Lampard. Sissons again. Boyce playing it wide to the other full-back now. Lampard on the overlap. But Pearce now for Tottenham. Pratt to Greaves. Mallory switching it now to find Morgan. And now Knowles. Gilzean waiting patiently at the far side. Moore away. Boyce. Brooking. Billy Bonds. Hurst nodding it into the path of Brooking. Did well to get it over. Ronnie Boyce. You sense somehow a greater urgency about West Ham in the second half, but this is Morgan now for Spurs. Pratt going past Boyce as though he didn't exist. Pratt. Morgan. And Moore. A fairly strong touch in the tackle, and now it's Bonds going past Knowles. Mallory trying desperately to cover. Getting in a shot again. The ball was the one to try and play it back to Hurst though. And Mallory in a fair bit of pain at the other end there. Looks as though he twisted either an ankle or a knee. Oh, he's in terrible pain. But of course he was really stretching to the full, Alan Mallory, in desperate pain. To stop Bonds. A stretcher now being brought on. Tony Want, the substitute, in fact, is already on the field for Spurs. The number 12, he's a defender as well, so it's a good substitute for Spurs to have available. Well, that's the sort of appreciation there is for Alan Mallory. Let's hope that injury is not too serious, but it certainly looks bad. Well, the sight of that suggests that there might well be a break there. So now it means a certain reorganisation, of course, in the Spurs defence. Tony Want the substitute on, remember. So now we are back in action again, Bobby Moore. Greaves being hustled by Brooking. And Spurs perhaps a little surprised to get the free kick, but now Greaves searching out Pratt. Beale and a corner. England going up for Spurs. Collins too. But from now on, Spurs have got to do without the driving force of Alan Mallory behind them, as Pearce now lines up to take this corner. England going for this one. But jumping on to Peters' back. Jeff Hurst. And a throw to West Ham. Hurst to Boyce. Beale away. Almost into the path of Brooking. Howe. Now to Moore. And now it's Morgan. Knowles to Gilzean. And Greaves going in on the blind side of Bobby Moore. No, just past. In fact, I think the whistle had already gone. The whistle, in fact, had already gone for a foul by Greaves on Moore. Tony Want. Still Want. Greaves, a little dummy. Pearce. Good shot and a fine save. Beautiful shot, taken first time by Jimmy Pearce from that lovely little flick by Greaves. And a fair old save too by the man who's going to take this kick now, Bobby Ferguson. Lampard really went in with a great deal of aggression into Pearce's back, and now it's Bobby Moore for West Ham. But West Ham still can't find any sort of way to crack the grip that England and Collins have at the back for Spurs. Moore coming forward much more now. Peters getting up. Hurst steaming in. Brooking is right there. Beale away. Still Hurst. A beautiful play by Hurst. And a good work by Pat Jennings. Incredible the way Hurst pulls those balls back. And now a good run here by Pratt. Flinging it in for Gilzean. Moore well up. But the ball beaten a lot of them, in fact, and it's Howe for West Ham. Now Moore. Number 4, Howe. Brooking. Sissons, first time in, Collins away, then Want, and then Pratt. Howe. Well, West Ham have gone 5 league games without a win. They certainly don't want to make it 6. Bonds for them. England away. Very forthright piece of play by him. Bobby Moore. Peters. And Greaves relieving the pressure by finding the willing Pratt. Pearce calling for it on the right. Here's Gilzean on the left. Pratt completely unmarked on the right. Into Pratt. Just over. Very annoyed with himself, and certainly that whole West Ham defence opened up for him. Pearce, flicked on by Gilzean. Pearce! Goal! Terrible argument in the middle of the field. The West Ham players surrounding David Smith. He's going across to the linesman. Jimmy Greaves is going with him. Now, what's he going to say? A goal or not a goal? A long discussion. A goal! So Spurs are ahead with 14 minutes to go. Jimmy Pearce, his 5th goal of the season in the league for Spurs. Well, that was a fine, well, beautifully taken goal by Jimmy Pearce, and it really has set West Ham a lot to do in the quarter of an hour that remains. Foul by Pratt on Boyce. And the player's gone on without Mr. Smith knowing it. Moore. Hurst for once escaping. Boyce well up there. Brooking there too. And of course it needed the intervention of a referee there. Brooking so very close to getting it through. But a free kick instead to Spurs. Watch it. Morgan sprinting through the middle. Here's Morgan. Stevenson covering well. Bobby Moore. Peters. Frantic whistles in the crowd from Spurs supporters. And in fact, time is almost up, but there must be a fair bit of injury time as well. Bonds. To Howe. Plenty of big men waiting in the middle for this one. Among them, Peters getting his head to it. England right up there. Brooking! Oh, hitting Hurst instead of going in. Again, good work by Brooking. And Stevenson back to Ferguson. Bonds. Peters again, calling hopefully for it, getting it. Flicking it now to Sissons. In goes Howe. Just over! No disrespect to Howe, who really got in well there, but had that been a Hurst or a Peters there to head it powerfully downwards, then it might have been a different story. As it is, Spurs survive. And Jennings, who's made 2 or 3 magnificent saves with the kick. Stevenson holding Gilzean, but the referee saying it was the other way about. So it's a free kick to West Ham. Bobby Moore now. Peters. Lampard. Moore. There won't be many more moments for West Ham like this as it curls in again. Away by Pratt. Moore again to curl another one. Looking for Peters. Hurst. Sissons. Over again. We've now played 2.5 minutes of injury time. That could well have been the last moment of crisis for Spurs. The referee's looked at both his linesmen and got a thumbs up. Jennings with the kick. Stevenson to Bonds. To Howe. Rookie. Well followed and tackled there by Tony Want. Well, Bill Nicholson knows that the game isn't won until the last whistle, so he's not counting any chickens yet. Bobby Moore. Lampard to curl yet another one into this crowded Spurs penalty area. Oh, what a bad one. Well, Ron Greenwood on the right must be a little worried at the lack of rhythm that there's been about his side the whole afternoon. And there goes the final whistle. And so Spurs have won the derby game. They took 3 points out of 4 from West Ham last season in the league. They've won 2 valuable points here. The scorer for Spurs, the number 7 there, Jimmy Pearce. Going into the tunnel there, number 7, Jimmy Pearce, the scorer of that lone Tottenham goal. And so the final score here at Upton Park, West Ham 0, Spurs 1.
But just a little disappointing, perhaps we had also expected just a little too much from that game. But victory for Spurs, that puts them now into 4th place in the First Division. Another defeat for West Ham, which certainly must have saddened their manager, Ron Greenwood, who is our guest today. We meet him in just a moment. But first of all, let's have a look again at that goal by Jimmy Pearce that was worth 2 points at Upton Park yesterday.
Pearce, flicked on by Gazine. Pearce!
Ron, could you just clear up for us first what happened to Clyde Best yesterday? He disappeared from the field when he was playing very well, and some people were a bit mystified by it.
Yes, contrary to expectations, he wasn't called off. We never call anybody off at West Ham. But he did injure his knee down in the corner. If you remember, when he got up from the ground, he had a white mark off the... fell right on the touchline when he was in a tackle with Knowles, and in consequence we found out afterwards he'd injured his ligaments, which we hope won't be too disastrous.
He was playing very well. Do you think he's only 18 years of age, from Bermuda? It's an unusual thing to get a player from there. Do you think he's a possibility of making a start?
Well, right from the word go, when we saw Clyde, he was recommended to us by the Bermudan national coach, Graham Adams, and when he first came over, we looked at him and we sensed we had a gem of a player if everything went right. He had problems, of course, away from home, 18 years of age, or 17 when he first came, and in consequence he's settled down very well. He's got good character. As always, the players at West Ham, we like to meet their parents. We've met his parents, they're full of character. We're happy and we're confident he's going to be a player of note in the future.
All right, as long as you don't have to bring the parents over to see the matches. It can get a bit expensive. Ron, the goal yesterday, which some people said at the time was disputed, I did have a word with Bill Nicholson at the end of the match about the goal to get his interpretation, and this is what he had to say about it.
Well, I was beginning to wonder as to whether he had signalled for a foul against our player, but I do understand that it was a foul actually against the West Ham player.
Oh,
so therefore that was why the referee overruled the appeal by the West Ham players.
In other words, the linesman flagged.
He flagged for a foul against West Ham United, not against Tottenham Hotspur.
And played the advantage rule.
Yes.
Well, it all worked out very well from Tottenham's point of view. What about this young lad, Jimmy Pearce? What do you think? Tell everybody what you think of him as a player.
Well, he's got a tremendous amount of skill, this boy. He does lack confidence, and he worries quite a bit, and he's a bit hesitant too. But he's got tremendous amount of skill, and when he gets anywhere around the goal, he seems to know at present how to put it into the net. I thought the goal he scored today was very similar to one that he got for our reserve team down here against West Ham last season. But he took it tremendously well, he worked it well, he got them going both ways and just slid it in with the inside of his foot.
Well, that's Bill's version, Ron. Would you agree with it?
Yes, I conceded this fact to a posse of pressmen last night in our foyer, although I think that probably your wonderful coverage gives me a better view of it today, inasmuch that I probably thought that the linesman was flagging for Frank Lampard having caused an infringement, but on looking at it now, obviously the infringement was from Alan Stevenson and Alan Gilzine.
Well, we can have a chance to look at that goal now in slow motion, and I'd like you also to give the viewers an idea whether you think there's any way in which that goal could have been prevented by your defence as it was coming about.
Yes, we're fully aware that Pat kicks a long ball and Gilzine or Chivers up there are always dangerous. Alan tends to get a little too close to Alan Gilzine, and of course he gets a flick onto it. But Pearce picks it up, and as Frank Lampard going the wrong way, Frank's good positioning really, twists and turns, but Pearce's wonderful dummy as he steps over the ball sends Frank the wrong way. Alan's trying to catch up from behind, and this is where Frank pushes, but unfortunately Bobby spreads himself as he should do, probably a little earlier, and the ball just goes over the top of his arms. A great goal really from Spurs' point of view, and as I always say, if they all go in, they're all good goals.
Must be horrible to sit there the next day and have to talk over a goal going in your net.
Well, you know, football's like that, Jim. Many a time I think we can talk over a lot of good ones that we've scored, but at the moment we're not scoring them, and this is our problem.
I hate to increase the agony, but we did have a camera there behind the goal to take this goal from another angle, and it shows really the beauty of that Pearce dummy. Bill Nicholson said he hasn't got much confidence. He certainly didn't show a lack of confidence here. Here it is coming up now from the other angle. There's the big goal kick.
You notice Jeff trying to stop them getting the long kick in. This was what we were aware of. Yeah. But you've got to give Pearce credit there, and as Matt said, it's a one-to-one situation, and this is what everybody's after in the game, trying to get people to take people on and create a situation as that was done. And with all due respect, there was no criticism on Frank Lampard. It was beautifully executed, and this is what the game's all about. If we can get people to do that, one for one, and get in there, every manager in the country would be very satisfied to have somebody to be able to do that week in and week out.
I might dig a little more deeply, Ron, into West Ham's problems. Do you think the football that you play, probably the most attractive football of any team in England, is enough on its own?
No, we're fully conscious of this. We want to play that type of football. We want to win games that way, but we're fully conscious of the fact that we're going to have to add a lot of physical effort. And the word effort on top of physical obliterates a lot of thoughts that other people have about what physical means.
Well, there's some beautiful moves yesterday that you did in the game. Here are two of them here. Really perfect, fluent West Ham attacking moves. You see them building up, that lovely ball back from Sisson.
A simple layoff from John back to Jeff, and Jeff hits a long one out to Bobby Howe, who curls one round early, which is one of our best balls, but unfortunately Clyde just can't get to the ball that Brooking heads back.
He's a yard away from success.
Yes, this is what it's all about, and this is what makes success or not success. Clive's come into the game, he's just a wee bit short of first division pace. There's Bobby again there. He plays again Martin to John Sisson. John Sisson again makes ground, and you'll see that again the ball's going to go early round the defender, as we always note for, and Jeff can't quite control it, but he gets it back onto the turn, and Trevor Brooking just fails to get to the cutback. It looks flowing and it's there, but we've got to do a lot of other work midfield to stop other people when they've got the ball. This is our problem.
Have you got to be more aggressive as well as more physical?
Well, aggression, in as much as like Ramsey says about going down to Mexico, instead of tackling from the back, work hard and keep with people. Work hard to keep, tight with people. This is what the physical effort means in football today.
Peter Knowles has said this weekend that, or virtually said, that you can't be a footballer and a Christian. Do you feel that your principles about life don't enable you to tell the West Ham players the things that they should do to get to the top of the league in this modern game?
Well, the things that I tell West Ham players to get to the top of the league are the things that I believe in and that we all believe in. We'll get there if we put a little more effort into our play. The football is there. I can't bring myself to tell them to do things that are not outside the rules of football, if that's what you mean by being Christian. It's just a question of moral obligations to the fact that it is a sport and nobody wants to be maiming somebody else. Like Jeff, I'm sure if Jeff's not careful, if the referees don't give him protection, somebody will break his leg one day, the way they tackle from behind. This is the type of thing that we can't tolerate, and we don't want to be part and parcel of it.
So you think this is stifling your chance of winning, this type of tackling and things?
No, I don't think so. It's up to us to be that wee bit quicker. It's up to Jeff to come away a bit quicker. It's up to other people to come away a bit quicker. So if people are trying to stab you from the back, you're not there when they stab.
Yeah. Ron, thank you very much indeed for coming in. I wish you luck with your brilliant football in the future, and I'm sure you won't mind, before you leave, just having a look with me and the rest of the viewers at the cuttings that we took of Alan Mullery's game yesterday before he went off the field. You never really miss a character until you think he's not going to be there, and I think Bill Nicholson must have been very worried that this man might not have been there for the rest of the season. Right at the start of the game, he imprinted himself on it. There he is, ghosting past a player. He wouldn't be very happy with that shot, which rather dribbled by the post, but you can see his lovely attitude to the game here in the smile on his face, ready for the next attempt. And it came soon afterwards. He up supporting his forwards all the while. There he is, number 4. He collects this ball, and this time he shows the power that he has got in the shot. Wham! And Ferguson is beautifully positioned there, makes the save look very easy, but there was plenty of power in the shot. Once again, Mallory in familiar position, up, forcing his forwards on. There he is, always ready to take the ball. And watch the accuracy of this cross to Gilzine, who muddles it a little bit, but it comes to Jimmy Greaves, and I think he scored a lot of easier chances than that one. But there's a chance of him picking up the ball on the left wing. Watch that lovely reverse pass to catch the defence and give Knowles a chance to cross and force that corner. But he's just as more than adequate, in fact, in defence. See the way he spots that run from Peters, and it isn't easy to spot Peters when he's coming through on the blind side of a defence. And here again, as this builds up, he's in number 4 there. You'll see Howe make a dash, and Mullery's awake and aware of it. And he gets there in the nick of time to prove that he can defend as well as attack.
Jimmy Hill there on Alan Muller, and as I told you at the start of the programme, tremendous news about Alan. He's told us himself that he now expects to be fit to play for Spurs next Saturday against Manchester City. Now it's time to have a look at one or two of your letters, and we've really had a mountain of mail this week about that disallowed Chelsea goal against Crystal Palace from the free kick at Stamford Bridge last Saturday. If you remember, Chelsea were awarded this free kick just outside the box. Steve Kember of Crystal Palace encroached certainly to within 10 yards, and although Hollins rammed the ball home, the goal was disallowed. Keith Wallace of Edmonton writes, if Palace had behaved themselves and stood away 10 yards, Chelsea would have been a goal up. But because Palace broke that 10 yards law, their goal remained intact. Let's just have a look again at that incident.
Well, here you can see the referee doing his best to get the block back 10 yards away, and there you can see Kember on his toes, ready to come in and encroach, which in the end he got his name taken. Now you can see Kember, he's the nearest player to that white splodge, which is the ball. He's within, I suppose, 1.5 yards from the ball, and the referee, quite rightly, is about to take his name. But the question is, should he have allowed Crystal Palace to have got an advantage through breaking the rules there? Because unquestionably the goal was disallowed, although from Chelsea's point of view it was a perfectly fair goal. You can see it go screaming on then into the back of the net.
But now Martin King of Battersea takes it a stage further, because he says when that kick was taken the second time, at least 3 Crystal Palace men in the wall were only about 4 yards from the ball, and the referee in that case took no notice.
Yes, Martin King, you're absolutely right, and you can see here very clearly that the players encroached to within 3 yards of the ball before it's kicked, obviously gaining an advantage, and play was allowed to go on. But as far as we're concerned, it's all part of the continuing unhappy saga that occurs with the 10-yard rule and free kicks. It annoys you, it annoys us, and the sooner something's done about it to stop it, the better.
Andrew Goddard is next. He comes from Chingford and he's aged 11, and he writes, why do most footballers in the British Isles have 6 studs on their boots, as I have 13 on mine? Well, your answer, Andrew, comes from Bobby Moore himself.
Well, Andrew, these are the 2 types of boots that I think you'll find most professional footballers will be issued with throughout the country. One has 13 studs on, which is a rubber moulded sole, which I think most players prefer to wear when the grounds are very hard and dry. Not so much icy, but just hard and dry. Some players like to wear them now, but in my own opinion, with the thick grass on the pitches, they can be a little bit slippery. These are the normal standard type boots, which have 6 studs. The advantage of these are that the studs are screwed in and they can be changed from long studs to short studs to medium, so these really can be adapted to all conditions. But as I say, these boots are the type of boots that I think you'll find most professional footballers would have throughout the country.
The last one today comes from Stephen Pitt. He comes from Eltham, London SE9, and he says, is it too soon to ask to see again Ray Crawford's tremendous goal for Charlton against Millwall, and is it too soon to propose it as one of the season's golden goals? Well, Stephen, in fact, we shall be running a golden goals competition later in the season, and now you can see this wonderful goal by Ray Crawford scored for Charlton against Millwall at the Den earlier this season.
McKinsey. Got Peacock outside him. Good piece of play there by Peacock. Crawford. And a good shot on the turn by Crawford. Oh, magnificent goal by Ray Crawford. What a beautiful goal.
Well, a little earlier on the big match today, we saw a disallowed Chelsea goal from last weekend. This weekend, they've had another disallowed goal, this time in their match against Manchester City up there at Main Road. Let's decide now whether it was a good goal or whether it was a bad goal. This time, we'll see it in slow motion. We see it first of all now as Houseman there, harassed by Book, the number 2, rides that tackle beautifully, the number 10 Houseman, just keeps it in fact. You'll see a little puff of white possibly as the ball gets almost onto the line. Waiting in the middle for it is Hutchinson. Now this is what you've got to decide, whether Hutchinson here impedes goalkeeper Corrigan or whether he's going 100% for the ball. To my mind, it looks as though he's going for the ball, but nonetheless the ball comes to Osgood, in he goes, but the goal is disallowed. Well, do you think it was a fair one, or was it not a fair one? It's up to you to decide. The referee said no, and Chelsea came away with a point. No doubt they were satisfied with that nonetheless. Our last match today is a fine match that they had up at Ellen Road yesterday. Leeds United, the champions, against Manchester United, struggling so hard to find some true form again. The commentator up there at Ellen Road is Keith Macklin. The pictures come from Yorkshire Television.
Best. Ewer. Francis Burns chasing in the left wing position. Throw to Leeds. Hunter. Madeley. And Madeley far too casual there. Best. Trying to find Gibbons. Greeny. Bremner. Cooper coming up. Bremner. Leaving it for Giles. Jones chasing, and an own goal! It's an own goal by David Sadler. David Sadler heads the ball over Alex Stepney's head. An own goal by poor David Sadler. Trying to head that ball away from Mick Jones. Turned it over the top of Alex Stepney, who'd come out too far. George Best.
Now into the second half.
Greeny always policing him. But a good ball finds Morgan with a lot of room. Willie Morgan. Greeny getting it away, Gowling there. Best, it's there! Best has equalised. Gary Sprague was diving the wrong way there as Best butted that one in. Georgie Best there having a quiet afternoon suddenly pops up, and as Gowling put that ball across to him, his shot went past Sprague, and Sprague seemed to be going the wrong way. Giles. There's Lorimer scooting down the middle, pushing Tony Dunn. Another corner. Leeds 1, Manchester 1. Crowd getting warmed up now, both ends of the ground. Leeds fans and Manchester fans, one game. Here's the in-swinging corner. Nicely taken by Stepney. Madeley. Well tackled by Tony Dunn. Finds Alan Gowling. Bobby Charlton. United moving forward again. Manchester there. George Best with a lot of room to work. Gibbons on his right. Best again. A glorious goal by Best. What a magnificent goal by Best. A masterpiece of a goal by Best. Spring never moved. That's the sort of goal that makes Georgie Best the world-class footballer he is. For the first half of this game, we hardly saw him. Sadler going up the right. Coolly putting it over there to Hunter, to Morgan. Sadler, and here's Best herring in, and for once in a while he misses his kick. Terry Cooper, Mick Jones, O'Grady, Jack Charlton, Bremner. Oh, beautiful goal! What a superlative goal by Bremner! Oh, what a wonderful goal by Bremner! An overhead kick from Jack Charlton flick. Bremner, wizardry. Jackie Charlton flicked that one over, and an overhead kick by Billy Bremner, and Alex Stepney taken completely by surprise. So Leeds break. Giles. Lorimer. Lorimer won from 40 yards. Oh, what a beauty! It knocked Stepney into the net. The sheer force of that shot from Peter Lorimer took Alex Stepney by surprise, bent his knuckles back and knocked him into the goal. What a great effort from 40 yards by Lorimer.
And that's how it finished, 2-2. They do say that Peter Lorimer's got the hardest shot in the game. I'm sure Alex Stepney would agree with that. Can you think of anyone with a harder shot? Well, that's all from the big match today. Hope you've enjoyed it. We've had action all the way. We finished with one last little bit. That superb goal by Georgie Best, scored for Manchester United at Leeds yesterday.
Darling. Bobby Charlton, United moving forward again. Manchester, there's George Best with a lot of room to work. Gibbons on his right. Best again. A glorious goal by Best. What a magnificent goal by Best.